Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. I know it's been a little while since we've been doing interviews in the Digital Brew, but we have still been doing Digital Brew and successfully closed show. So I'm with a up-and-coming legend, Afro Ndiritu. Is that
good enough?
Yes, it's really difficult to say. But he's with us today. He's an awesome guy. I've seen him on stage. I've shared an event, actually talking at an event with you. In fact, was that one of your first events of your new business, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, first event ever. Yeah, official first event. Yes,
and that was I think that was last year at the NatWest Entrepreneurial Hub.
That's correct.
It was International Men's Day.
Yes. Yeah.
International Men's Day, and you also on there. You've done a lot of work with Andy Harrington previously. In fact, you've won an award for the speaking and partnership. And so, in fact, you're one of Andy Harrington's rising stars as well. Those of you who don't know who Andy Harrington is, be sure to check him out and have a look. So, Afro, obviously, thanks for joining us today. You've sort of launched your new business. We've been meaning to catch up for quite some time now.
Yes.
And sort of do an interview and see how things are going, and for you to sort of really share your story and what you've been up to. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, I'm going to give you the screen to introduce yourself, and maybe if you just tell us a little bit about your background first, and how you got to where you are now, and then obviously I've got the questions I give everybody. Awesome. So over to you.
Awesome. I'm Afro Ndiritu, as you know, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and also mentor. So when I met Ricky, incidentally, that was my first event I did. And I then decided to pivot from there. So the reason being is because I previously, let's go back a bit. So 2016 is when I first started my first ever business. And that's been growing successful since then. But I had something within me to do more, because it's a joint business with my wife. And because it's a joint business, it's kind of the to and fro of where do we pivot this business? Because there's two people. So it's always hard to manage with two people's expectations and kind of two different visions. And I went to an event just after November last year, a lady called Ann Turner. She spoke about, you've probably heard Find Your Why, what's your true passion, why do you do what you do, etc. And she talks about like fruits, like you have some big fruits, you have some small fruits, fruits some die off, some grow bigger than others, etc. She's referring to sales, because it's a sales event. And she talks about you have big clients, small clients, but they're all important, you need to treat them all the same. And then she got onto a bit called 6 Honest Serving Men. And she talks about why, what, how, etc. And the big poignant message for me was the why, as to why do I do what I do. At that point in time, that was after the event, I was having, because it wasn't as successful as I thought it was. I presented well, but I was too much like Andy Harrington.
And the presentation, the story was really good. It was but Andy Harrington's style is very much on the sale, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was actually, you got everyone with the story and all of that, and then it's just that. I think it's very difficult at the moment, because there's lots of people talking and lots of people on the speaking circuit. Yeah. And a lot of people trying to sell from stage, whereas actually people now, particularly entrepreneurs, aren't necessarily wanting to be sold to unless you sort of tell them at the beginning, or they want to get to know you, they want to check you out, check your background, and they buy you, and then they might buy later. And I think there's a misconception in the speaking world right now that you can jump on a stage and you can sell to everyone and you'll make loads of money, and actually takes time. But you've changed that. You say you've changed that, or?
Yeah. So I've now changed that. Like you said, because when you're new to something, you kind of just you go by what you see. So if you see one person and you're emulating what they're doing, you take up their mannerisms, and then you can be compared to someone else. So the idea was, I went onto stage, I did my thing, I came off stage, and then during that time off the stage, I realized that actually I'm not being my true self. And that was a good experience. So I learned loads from doing that. And now I own what I do, and I now speak the way I want to speak. I don't imitate anyone else, but I've taken the learnings, kind of made them my own, have my own signature to it. And that's really helped me going forward now. So it's definitely a lesson learned.
And you've been actually quite active recently. I've seen you being quite active on social media and the podcast and things you're doing. You released a podcast yesterday with Debbie, and I'm loving the sort of style and new look and vibe you've got going on with what you're doing. Is that like a new branding thing? How new is that?
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks last 27th of July. I launched it, and I totally rebranded that, relaunched that. I had a podcast previous to that, but that was more focused on my previous role of empowering men, and now I'm in about educating entrepreneurs. So I was like, right, I took a gap, and I worked out what did I want, because lockdown really helped me to focus on what do I really want. It gives me the time to think, is this what I really want to do? And if it's not, then where do I pivot to, and how to upskill myself? And so I really invested like a lot of time understanding podcasting a bit more, my market, and then relaunched the podcast. But I love doing podcasts. I love interviewing guests. I just learn so much. I'm so curious and I want to learn more. And I think having guests is a great way to learn for yourself whilst your audience is learning too. And you get different perspectives, so it challenges your beliefs, and that makes you think, okay, was I right in saying that? Or maybe I never thought of it that way. And you get insights from someone else's world. I think it's so important.
So how have you found lockdown then? Because obviously now it's like 5 months, and for you, if we go back 5 months ago, your business was sort of events and training people and fitness and all of that. So how has that affected you, and what have you been doing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite fortunate. I don't know if it's just being fortunate or just thinking, right, I need to do something. At that moment in time, it was the new year, January. I was like, right, we kept talking about putting our business online, as the fitness and nutrition business. Mm-hmm. And I got sick of hearing my own voice, essentially. I was like, right, I just need to do it. So February the 1st is when we launched online. So we tried to have an online presence, and our current clients got access to that at the time. And then obviously COVID hit, but we're very fortunate to have all our clients onboarded online that understood online. So we just took the physical location and put it online. So it was a very smooth transition. We lost about 20% of our client base, but that's okay, because I know a lot of people lost a lot more. And that really helped us to kind of manage and navigate through this. And it allowed me then to, as I said, Farah could do the sessions online, that's my wife, and I could take a step back and grow what I'm growing now. So it really helped, to be honest, us, just because we were prepared. I don't know if that's just luck more than anything else.
How do you find working with your wife then? How does that... that's probably quite challenging, right?
It can be absolutely amazing at times, but then it's like, when do you switch off? So we have date nights on a Friday, 8 o'clock onwards. There's like no work talk. We obviously don't go out because we can't go out as much. I put Netflix on, watch a movie, get some popcorn and whatnot. But it can be challenging at times, but then it can be absolutely amazing because you've got someone who's backing you up and someone who understands what you're going through, because entrepreneurship can be quite lonely at times.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, behind every good man is a woman.
Yeah, and she's amazing. So she's great like that. And I think now we've kind of done it the way we've done it. So she's leading that and I'm leading my own. We can then kind of cross-pollinate with ideas. And I think that's better because we've got our own space. We'll come together when we need to. And I think that's really worked really well.
Okay. Do you separate it quite well then? Do you sort of enough work, or is it work all the time? Where are you going?
Because probably because I love being an entrepreneur. I could work all day, every day. And I kind of forget, like, actually, I need to stop. And because I've been developing this new challenge of creating a 6-figure challenge, it's been like work to get it done and launched. And now I need to take the time back. So I like to work in kind of sprints. Like, I'm launching something, I'm going to sprint this. And then after I sprint it, then I can take a back seat, take the pedal off the gas a bit, and then push it back on. There's kind of that back and forth.
And your 6-figure challenge that you're doing, because obviously you've got your journey from where you were to where you are now, is that aimed for young entrepreneurs? Who is that aimed for? Who's your audience?
So my target audience is on people who are looking to start out. So startups, people who've maybe got a few clients but haven't got any traction. And that, as you said, goes back to my journey when I first started. So I understand the pitfalls as being
let's go back to where you first started. So you guys get a bit of an idea of where you've come to where you are now, and then really the exciting things that you've got going forward. So, how far back are we going? Where did you want to go back to?
2016 is when I first started. I was working in a large corporate retailer, Debenhams, and I was a sales manager. So one of the senior sales managers, been doing that for 8-9 years. And it just became to a point where I just got a bit frustrated. And I remember the exact moment is when I was folding some denim jeans on the table. So you've got to imagine there's a big Debenham store. I'm the menswear sales manager. We've got this visit coming soon where they kind of give you like a red, amber, green, red, amber, green. They give you like a red if it's poor, a green if it's amazing, etc. So I'm folding these jeans, make sure everything looks perfect for this visit. And I literally get the jeans and I just go, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, but I just think this is, insert swear word here. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just not helping anyone. I'm not living a purpose. I'm selling things to people it feels soulless. And then I rocked up to Farah and said, look, Farah, are you serious about doing this? And we weren't married at the time. And she said, yeah. And that was like the personal training. So I booked, later on that day, I found a course and I spent, booked us in £4,000 for me, and then it'd be £4,000 for her. I didn't tell her I booked it, I just booked it. And I said, and then later on, she then looks at me and goes, what? I said, yeah, we're doing it. And she's like, okay. And then she said, yes, thankfully. And then from then on, it kind of grew from there.
And so this was a course. What was this course that you?
So it was with Darren Tebenham. It was a personal training course. It was a 10 weeks online and 2 weeks intensive. But the key thing for me was I wanted the business side of it. I didn't want to do a course where you can do a course on a weekend, because as a personal trainer at that time, you can take that and just do it on a weekend and be qualified and go straight to running a business. But that normally means you're going to be a PT in a gym environment. I wanted my own business, so I wanted to learn the business side as well. Okay,
and you were very successful on the PT side of things. You had a lot of customers and people in that. So I mean, that's quite interesting as well, because given the current climate, lots of PTs are moving online, and a lot of people where they put on the pounds are actually starting to get fit. So are you still doing that, or is the business changed?
Oh no, so we've got, it's kind of weird. So we've got that side with the current client base, and then Farah's doing the nutrition side, which is the new part for her, and then I've got my new part. So that still exists as an entity. And we're not actively looking for clients, but if people stumble upon us, we're happy to take them on. But we're kind of like looking to slow that down and build the other two back up. Okay,
cool. So you've done this course.
Yeah.
You got the qualifications, you being VT, started growing. Then what happened?
So I like to say it's smooth sailing, but it never is. So in the beginning, because I was new to business, I didn't know about marketing, and I overspent massively on a Facebook ad, and so much so I had to then take 2 part-time jobs, one as a pizza delivery person on the weekend, and the other one cleaning. So I was cleaning part-time, doing deliveries, and then trying to grow this business as well. And it's through those times of driving around, because you could take 10, 15 minutes to deliver a pizza, I was like, I don't listen to music anymore because it's a bit boring. That's when I discovered like Anchor, podcast, and also Audible. And then I found Gary Vee, and then I learned about marketing. And I was like, as I was like driving around, I was learning at the same time. And it's then I learn something, I get really excited, come home and then go, Farah, I learned this thing. This is like at 11 o'clock at night. She's not interested. I'm like, right, I need to implement this. So I'll go home, implement till about 1 o'clock or something silly, get up the next day and then carry on my day and then do the deliveries again and do the same. And it was all that learning and implementing that I finally understood like Facebook marketing a lot more. Then eventually we got more clients, and then I could leave the 2 part-time jobs and just focus on that.
Okay. So the Facebook advert, then you just went all in on it, and then oh shit.
It was.
I've spent all this money, and I'm not actually getting my return back. So damn it, Facebook. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I'm probably not the only one who's tried it and just thought, I'll throw money at it, it'll work. But it doesn't work that way. Marketing does not work that way. No. That was a painful lesson to learn. But
that's good though, right? Because it could have been worse. It could always be worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was that? That was a couple of years back. Was that in 2016? So 17. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what happened? So obviously you had those jobs, you cleared that out.
Yeah.
Pushed through the personal training. Then what?
So then, pursued the personal training, grew it to a point, and it was actually incidentally, I was on a Thursday, I was coaching a client, and it was Ramadan, and she mentioned to me about gratitude. I thought, I never heard of it in that way before. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I took what she taught me, and I put a quick Facebook post out, and then a few people like commented, this is pretty cool. And then next Thursday, I thought, I had some time, I'll do it again. Then every Thursday, I'll just start putting little posts out. And they got longer and longer. And I thought, right, I need to do something with this. I said to Farah, do you want to join me and just write something as well? She said, yeah, I'll write. So then I learned how to actually create a word WordPress website and write blogging. So then I started blogging and writing articles, but the articles were like just random things, like one about music, one about health, one about fitness. So we're just all over the place. But we named it Big Coach, Little Coach. So if you've ever seen my wife, I'm 6'1", she's 5'1". And we came up with the idea of having Big Coach, Little Coach because we thought it'd be funny and we enjoyed the name. And then we just did that every week again and again. And it was like, right, where's this all going? And then that's when I heard about Andy Harrington, and he had this event called Message for Millions. I was like, oh, that's perfect, because I want to get a message out to millions of people. So then I turned up to his event, and obviously he does his spiel on stage, he sells to us. I bought into Public Speaking University and upsold to Professional Speaking Academy, and then that's when it ended up being where I met you, Ricky, essentially.
Well, you see, I think that the thing is that, so Andy Harrington is quite interesting because I hated.
Yeah, you said this before.
I said this to him. I hated how
I know you did. That's what you
sold on stage. I mean, he sold, right? I worked, I bought, and obviously I did lots of different things and lots with Grant Cardone and different people. And different people, I didn't know Andy personally, so I had to go and do the course and make my own opinion. And he's fantastic at storytelling and his way of holding a stage and the people who met at his event. I mean, if anyone is serious, I've been directing films for many years, animations and commercials. And if you are serious about coaching or mentoring, or you want to be on stage, then I would recommend for everybody to do that public speaking university, not just because you'll meet amazing people, but you will learn so much. And if you go away taking one thing and implement that, then it's a success. And I actually said to him after, I think he was awesome. His story's awesome. He's had lots of adversity and changes. He's done lots of big stages. And I met some really cool people there. And the way he teaches you to hold the stage.
Oh, here we go. It's back.
Who's that? That's we go in. We got Ian. That's not you. Hang on.
That's not me. It's Ian.
No, this is Ian. This is the joint in the brew. You see, I've got to get you back. Ian's
just take my place. Ian, carry on.
Ian's taking your place. So whilst I bring you back into here, see, this is another thing with COVID. You see, I don't have my tech team in the studio with me to do all the live broadcasting like this.
There we go.
There we are. So you've done Andy's course. You've learned a lot from that. I mean, you are really good on stage, sharing your story and anchoring and how all that works. So that's really good. So what's the biggest learning outcome for you then since that, and probably since last year? Because you really have changed. Like, a lot has happened in. Yeah. What's your biggest learning outcome?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, because like you said, I knew the anchoring, I knew the technical side of it. But the problem was I wasn't truly stepping into myself. And I think that's what I couldn't find my voice, as I put it. So I think through that process of trial and error and podcasting and doing Facebook Lives, I learned how to find my voice. And I think that's so important as an entrepreneurial leader. You want to be able to find what rings true to you, what speaks to you, because then you'll attract people, or the right kind of people you want to work with. I think that's my biggest learning, is just be yourself. And it's so hard to stand up, I call it, when everyone else is sitting down, because you stand out. And the problem with standing out is that psychologically, as in we're built like caveman style, we are not meant to come out of our tribes. We're meant to be in little tribes where it's all safe, and stepping out of your comfort zone is not comfortable. And I think putting yourself outside your comfort zone is so important if you want to be a leader and you want to lead people.
Okay, cool. So given that then, so obviously anybody, I mean, lots of people are now starting in their coaching or their training businesses. You've had your coaching business, how long now?
So the personal training business, 4 years.
4 years, okay. And personal training is well, one of my best mates is a PT, and he's phenomenal. It's quite a hard thing as well, isn't it? Because you have everybody's woes. I mean, everybody tells you all about negative. In the personal development space, they always say surround yourself with positive people, or like-minded people, or people that have done what you want to go and do. And then in the personal training space, you can very much imagine everybody's telling you negativity all day, so it can actually be quite taxing.
Yeah, it is draining when you do like session after session with people, for sure. But I learned so much doing that, because you learn how to interact with people and deal with their pains and their lows. People will open up to you about everything when you ask the right kind of questions, and you learn so much about people. And I think doing that helps you to be a coach and be an entrepreneur, because it's all about people. So if you can interact with people and people buy into you, then it's a skill you can take to anything.
It is. And you're getting results. I mean, you're seeing results, but you get the satisfaction of actually on the other side.
Yeah.
When they come to you, either overweight or whatever the problems may be, and then they overcome them, then that actually is awesome. That is a great satisfaction right there.
100%, yeah.
So that, I mean, yeah. And I mean, in this market space, anyone who's going online and digital and post-lockdown, PTs are just going to be insanely busy.
Yeah, if you can ride out that wave, because it's some people have been slammed hard because they couldn't move quick enough. I know people in that space who just couldn't get online quick enough, and then they suffered and essentially lost their business. And coming out of this, like any bust, there's a massive boom coming for everything, I think.
So I have 3 questions I normally ask people. First one, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, how young we're talking? If I was to say in my 20s, I would say read more, because for reasons at school, I couldn't read. Like, I've got a book up there, I've got books everywhere now, but I would always read 10 pages and get tired and fall asleep, and I just couldn't connect with what I was reading. And I think one of the reasons was because I wasn't reading the right things. And podcasting and listening to Audible really helped me to trigger those things of learning. And then it made me go, right, someone hasn't got it on Audible, I have to buy the book. I buy the book. And I was shocked at the start of lockdown. I read a book in a week, and I never got even close to that. And I was like, this is absolutely mental. My ability to learn has like really increased. And I think that was the poignant moment. And I think that's one of the things I'd say to my younger self is get a book, learn. Okay. It's so valuable.
All right. My next question, which I'd say is, what does success look like for you?
Well, I think for me, it's fulfillment. And I think when you haven't been fulfilled and you are fulfilled, you know the difference. And I think for me, happiness and success and fulfillment, I define them all differently. But success for me just means that you are leading the life you want to live, and you're taking those chances, I think, because people don't take enough chances. So you're taking a chance to be successful. I think that's success for me. And it's never stopping. It's always developing and growing and changing. And you just got to evolve with it. It's a journey, not a destination. Okay.
So my final question then is, that's not really my final question. I probably have
I did the same.
The 3 that I asked. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, I don't want to be when I grow up. Oh my God, that's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
They throw me now. I guess I want to leave a legacy. What I want to be is, I want to be known to be I've helped millions of people, essentially, and that for me is entrepreneurs. And one of the reasons is because I know entrepreneurship and business has massively changed my life. Having struggled with alcohol in my 20s and having an abusive father, it's really helped me to find purpose, because I think that so many people just lack purpose and direction. Once you've got purpose, it makes things so much easier. And I want to be able to give that to other people. And I just believe that if you don't have it, you never experience it. So some people are walking around without purpose and they just don't know about it. And once you know about it, it's like the Matrix, I was calling it. You start seeing at the end with the zeros and ones, you're like, I now see the truth, and I now see more than what's in front of me.
So you said then that in your 20s you had alcohol issues and they had an abusive father. How did that, if you went back to then, was that for quite some time, or how did you overcome that?
It was like, I started drinking when I was like 15, 16 years old, like in the park, like with your mates, which is not that uncommon. In my eyes, but it might not be, I don't know. And it was, I had a sense of like, because my father drank a lot, it probably stemmed, that's why I started drinking. And when I drank, I became like the go-to person, like the party guy that people loved. And I think it was that significance that really helped in terms of those early days of like, right, people like me because I'm happy and jovial and can drink. And when you took that away, maybe I'm nobody. And I think it was that insecurity of doing that. And I think it was that moment when Farah said to me, don't bring that stuff around me. I've got 2 boys. I don't want that around me. And I had to make a choice. So do I carry on drinking or do I stop and actually be the person I want to be? And it was like, right, I need to knock this on the head. So I just stopped. There was no like any help. I just stopped dead because I thought I have a bigger purpose than this, and this is not supporting me.
Yeah, that's pretty epic in itself to just stop.
Yeah,
that is something that a lot of people would find really hard, and particularly you said earlier, drinking down the path. Lots of kids are drinking down the path. Lots of people do that because either they're not really allowed to, so they'll do it, or maybe they're not supported at home as much, for example, maybe. You said you had an abusive father and who was drinking as well, so maybe you drinking because that's sort of your role model.
I at that moment when she said that, I also thought I don't want to end up like my dad. I don't want to go down the same path. I've got a choice, so it's just a choice I had to make, and I made it. And
that was it. You saw two paths, going down and following in your dad's, or doing the complete opposite, and actually.
100%. Yeah.
So you stopped. Do you have a drink at all now? Do you drink or do you?
No, I have no need. It's like, I don't care enough. People drink around me. I'm totally fine with that, but I'm not bothered by it. I don't crave it. I just drink water. I love water. just drink water all the time. And because I've replaced it, and what most people do when they stop a habit, which drinking is a habit to an extent, is they take that habit out, but they don't replace it with anything positive or supportive, and then they go back to the habit because it's a crutch. So I took away that crutch and put something else there, which is like having fire in my life, having fulfillment with my family, and also the business. This gives me there's so much to learn in business and to do. It can never stop. So,
and do you have kids yourself? Or?
So not myself, no. So we are looking to have children, but I have 2 stepsons, so 15 and 11.
Okay.
So they're fun.
They keep you busy.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
Okay, cool. So you now obviously are learning. You've gone from where you were to now. What is the future for you? Because obviously we said what you want to do in your role. You want to leave a legacy. You want to help people. You've helped loads of people in your personal training business. You're helping people in the coaching side. How are you going to do this legacy? What's next for you then? What you got going on?
So right now, as I mentioned, it's that 6-figure challenge. So I've created a 30-day challenge, and it's all about educating entrepreneurs. Because as I said, knowing that how important marketing is and having business structures in place, I know the pitfalls of not having it, and I want to educate people how to have it because there's a lot of noise out there, and I think I want to cut through the noise and actually just get to the bits where people actually need tactical and strategic ways of growing a business. And that's where my right now present is what I'm doing right now. And that launches, it's already launched, but it starts in a few weeks' time. Okay, so you look at screen's gone. Told you it was technical issues today. You've been phenomenal. On the 6-figure challenge then, is that for people who are just going to start a business, or what is that? Yeah, so it's as I said, it's people who are just starting out or just started, so they maybe have a few clients, but they don't know how to then scale it and grow it, because having a few is great, but how do you have 10, 15, 20, 30 when you're one person or 2 people in the business? So it's giving you that educational platform, and it's not thousands of pounds, because what I want to do is I want to help people get started, and then if I'm being truthful, if I help them and they see super high value and they're like, this is amazing, they're more likely to buy later down the line anyway. So it's kind of like, let's get them in the door, get them going, get them momentum. And if they feel like, right, Afro's really helped me out and I've grown my business, then let's continue the journey together. And if they don't, that's fine. Okay. See, I think the thing is, one thing I think you've got to be careful with 6-figure businesses. I think if you start a business and you push through a 6-figure business, if you're multi 6 figures, then it can go to a business. You don't want to become a slave to the business. And then when you go to 7 figures, in fact, you probably earn more money in the 6 figures, because 7 figures is just bloody nightmare, because you have too many people and lots of other expenses. And a lot of people get caught up with the turnover rather than the profit. And
profit is sanity, turnover is insanity.
Yeah.
And I think working for yourself, how have you found working for yourself? There's highs and lows with it. I personally would recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
What? How have you found it?
Working for myself, sorry, Calvin. Yeah, I love it. Like you said, I'd recommend to everyone. I think everyone should at least give it a good try in a safe environment. So not like, sell everything and live on Ireland and try that way. But I think everyone has an opportunity to create a side hustle, as they call it in America. But there's an opportunity to create more just because of the internet and the ability to scale things and create things digitally now. I think everyone should dabble in entrepreneurship, because I think it's innate with us anyway. As like cave dwelling people, we used to have to go for hunter gatherer and exchange things like value. I give you this cow for this. So it's within us. It's just that I think people are just afraid to take that plunge of being judged, etc. But I love it myself. I wouldn't change anything, like you said. So the businesses, are they going to be young entrepreneurs, or are you going to be anyone, or what's the... I believe I might resonate more with millennials just because I am one more than anything else. But as I said, like once you start, you'll attract like a few people within that kind of market, and then people around that will hear about it anyway, and you'll start to attract other people. But primarily, I believe it's going to resonate more with millennials. Okay,
cool. And so what one piece of advice you'd give a millennial? Right?
I always think, like, when I think of millennials, I always think Gary Vee, because he talks about them a lot. And I think when people think of millennials, I think they are sometimes always, what's the word I'm looking for? They think the world owes them something before they've actually got started. So my advice would be is get started, get some results for some other people. And whatever that may be, doesn't matter what industry it is, but start to get traction and build some results, and then actually leave the ego at the door. I think leave the ego at the door, be willing to be open to learn. And you can't go wrong once you always got that ability to learn and realize that you don't know everything. Like right now, I might be an expert as I am, but in a year's time, I'll learn so much more, and I'll be like, I knew nothing then. And you always have that repetition again and again.
Well, I mean, you're forever evolving. I mean, look, it's probably less than a year, or maybe a year.
Yeah.
Is it in that resting? I think
November, I think so.
So less than a year. Look how far you've come in that year.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is awesome. So there is a lot of noise out there. You are starting to make a lot of noise. You're starting to push yourself, which is amazing. How and where can the millennials or people find out about you? I mean, I'll put a link in the post below anyway to the website. But how can people get hold of you or follow you?
Best thing to follow me is I'm available on Instagram, Facebook. I'm predominantly Facebook, LinkedIn, and also podcasting. That's just my name, Afro Ndiritu. And so I'll spell it Afro Ndiritu. But the best thing for me is just if you go to my website, everything's there, so it's central, and you can find everything else from my website. And
do you have any other big things coming up? I mean, you're launching your program, you've got your new branding, your new site, you've got your podcast that you're doing.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Anything else?
I'm going to stick with those because I know that if I try, I'll have shiny object syndrome and I'll try and do too many things. Because as you know, as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh, this is new, this is exciting. So I'm going to stick with that for now for a period of time, and then once it builds, and then add more in. Because I know I've tried it that way, it didn't work. Yeah,
well, dude, as always, I wish you every success in the world in what you're doing. If anyone gets a chance to go and see you talk or come and see, then please do, because he is awesome on stage. A really cool guy, and certainly one to watch. Who, I mean, you're going to be bigger than Andy Harrington and Tony Robbins and all them, right?
That's the place. It's on my vision board.
Well, it's got to be done, you see, because we've just had little Rory. Rory's 5 months old. Yeah. Kai is 12 years old, and Ava is 10. So you've got 10 years
get it done.
To smash it. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years, 3 years, or 10 years. Yeah. And it's about showing up every day and changing and evolving and taking those hits, but getting back up.
Yeah, I think you made a point there about Tony Robbins. Now, I'm just going to riff a little bit here, just because I think that it's important to know that. I put a post out a few weeks ago, And I don't want to get controversial, but it's this whole Black Lives Matter thing. And I'm not going to talk about that in the detail, and I'll keep my personal view to my personal self. But I know that there's not many people who look like me, who talk like me, and I need to represent those people too. And I think that's important just to insert there. I think just to know that I do want to be as big as that, because I think there's not enough people who look like me doing what I do, essentially. That I know of. And I think it's important that is said as well. That makes sense. I hope it does.
It does. I mean, I think the Black Lives Matter was such a big, it's such a big political storm to say. Yeah. So many people agree with the president of it. I think it's very hard, isn't it, given the current climate of all social distancing and everything. And what I would like to think is that the current generation and the future generation, it won't exist. The whole racism side of things just won't exist, because it's something that has to be educated out. It's not something that can be spontaneous. And it's really bizarre when you look back at 2020. I would have thought COVID would have brought the world together on the fact that it doesn't matter. We all bleed the same, and we all live and we all die. But it's been interesting. But I would also say Tony Robbins and all those guys, they're all old. That's what they're all old. Move over, Grandad, let the new ones come through. I mean,
it's true though, isn't it? Yeah.
He's a big old boy, but there are. I mean, Grant Cardone. He's really a young guy, really. A lot of them in that space are a lot older, and I know Gary Vee does his thing. But it is really interesting. It's very much for the next generation. I mean, I look at what my kids are doing now, and they're talking another language, and the tech that they're using and the stuff that they're doing. And I think it's important for them to be able to look to future leaders and have that stance. And mate, I would just keep pushing through. I look forward to sharing stages with you in the future, and I very much want your career to be everything that you can be.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. It's been amazing. Love this.
Yeah, well, we'll do another one when I've got the technology working. David's still in the brew. He'll tell you we had camera issues. It was really funny. When we did the show at Digital Brew at the beginning, so many people said to me, don't do it. And I was like, why? And they said, don't do it. You're not going to be able to do it every day. If you do a show every day, it's just, it's going to be too much. And it was tough, but actually failed so many times technically. David would tell you, I mean, I'm gonna cut this, and then we're gonna bring David back in. So thank you ever so much for joining us. Don't go anywhere. But as far as the audience is concerned, please follow Afro on his YouTube or his podcast. Put the links down below, and be sure to like and subscribe to his channels. Thanks, mate. Keep safe, everybody. Have a good one, and take care.